So meet Dr. Emmanuel Akpe. He is a UK-based stress management coach and the Director or Chief Executive Officer of TSM Wellness Limited, a stress management and wellness center based in Abuja, Nigeria. He has a project management he is a project management professional and also has HSE Health Safety and Environment certification. He is also a doctor of holistic medicine certified by the University of America, Netherlands, and is currently an MSc psychology student at Liverpool John Moores University here in the UK. Dr. Emmanuel is an international conference speaker, a stress management consultant, a radio and TV analyst on stress management, and an author. He has spoken to over 200 different organizations, including international organizations, government agencies, corporate organizations, churches in Nigeria and other parts of the world. He pioneered a movement in Nigeria where he educated individuals and corporate organizations on the benefits of stress management. He coaches a community of over 12,000 people weekly on managing stress and becoming productive. His radio and TV programs have reached over 20 million people, incorporating holistic medicine into stress management. He has written 4 books: Office Palaver, Handling Work-Related Stress, The Stress Manager's Guide, How Do I Escape COVID-19 Stress, and 40 Years But Trapped in a 70-Year-Old Body, which is his latest book, available on Amazon and his website. He's married to his wife, Joyce, and they are blessed with a son. And he didn't include this one, but I need to let you guys know that he created a course called how to manage your stress, how to help your child manage your stress, or stress management for children. So you can imagine that he's just the perfect person to take this topic, you know. So let's welcome Dr.
Yeah.
Emmanuel.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Zine. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. So I want to be sure that I'm being heard.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Um, yeah, it's true. We started this. We've been there from the beginning, and I'm happy to also be here. In fact, I canceled a journey to, or rather, I shifted it, a journey I'm supposed to make to London this evening. I had to shift it to tomorrow morning because of this program. And I'm so happy to be here. You can't say no to someone like Dr. Ezine, who has been consistent for the past 4 years. It takes a lot of consistency for you to actually get to this level where she is. One thing that has distinguished me in my profession as a stress management coach is consistency. I remember when we started talking about stress management, I will offer to do free trainings and nobody was listening. I will offer to do radio programs, nobody was listening. But at some point before I left Nigeria, stress management was a hot cake. I had invitations almost everywhere because of consistency. So people are beginning to see that they really need this thing. So I'm so happy to handle this very topic that has to do with children. Children. Because if you can help children live well, they will not grow up as dysfunctional adults. So if you can help children to grow up wholesomely, you know, there's a word that Jesus always uses anytime he heals someone. He say, your faith has made you whole. Although the person was healed, but the person was not made whole. So this teaching is an attempt to help you raise a wholesome child, a child that is complete mentally, physically, and otherwise. And that is why we are here. So I discovered that a lot of parents are struggling to manage their own stress. And because of that, they have no idea that their children also undergo stress. In fact, the greatest misconception or the greatest myth that I've heard is the fact that children don't experience stress. That is the greatest error that you can ever imagine. That children don't experience stress. In fact, it is the stress that children experience that they translate into adulthood. And you see the child misbehaving, or you see the child going into drugs, into prostitution, and all manner of things. It's as a result of a combination of all the stress that they have experienced from when they were born to the point where they become teenagers. A combination of or a sum total of all that stress is what forms the adult. So if you don't know how to help your child manage stress, you are going to mislead that child. You are going to get that child to a level where he doesn't have the ability to take charge of his life. Because what I'm going to teach you is how to help your child and give them that coping ability to be able to manage whatever stress that they are going through. I remember as children, when we face challenges in the house and we try to communicate it to our parents, they just shut us down. Shut up, what do you know? Can you get out of here? Or they just tell us, my friend, keep quiet, you're always talking, you're a talkative. And many parents have actually used that to destroy the destinies of their children, because you feel that your child is a talkative. Your child is trying to express something that he or she is going through. But because you are so much engrossed in your own affairs, you are selfish. You are not paying attention to the person God gave you to help train and to help manage. Because of that, you are turning that person to become dysfunctional. So it is very important that we learn how to manage stress in children, how to help children manage stress. Before I go into how to help children manage stress, I want to say a little bit, maybe like in the next 5-10 minutes, talk about how you yourself can manage stress. Because the truth is this: if you cannot manage your own stress, you cannot manage that of your child. That is the truth. So there is nothing like okay, let me just learn how to manage that of my child. Me, I can take care of myself. You cannot take care of yourself. I discovered that people are easily triggered. People are easily frustrated. A lot of people are experiencing stress, financial stress, marital stress, domestic stress, and all manner of stress. And they are transferring this aggression onto their children. So if you don't know how to manage your own stress, how will you manage that of your child? How will you manage that of your child? So that is a question you're going to ask yourself. So what exactly is stress? Stress is actually the way the body, now, not you now, your body, respond to events that are happening around it. So your body can respond, your mind can also respond. So stress is the event. Stress is not the event, sorry. Stress is your response to the event. Let me say that again. Stress is not an event. Stress is your response to that event. Your response physically, that's your body, and your response psychologically, that is your mind. If your response physically is bad, the body begins to break down gradually because of the hormones that are released. Of course, you know that if the body is experiencing stress, the body releases a hormone called cortisol. And that cortisol, if it stays longer in the body or in the system, can begin to have adverse effects on the body. So, and that can destroy the body itself. What of the mind? Stress can actually have severe impact on the mind to the point that you can lose your mind. or you can enter into deep emotional pain because of the stress that affects the mind, or psychological stress. In fact, psychological stress actually darkens the mind and make people do things that they will be asking themselves, am I the one that actually did this? Am I the one that actually did this? Because of the impact of what they actually did. Okay, let me put it this way. Have you ever experienced someone who all of a sudden you just offended the person, just a little thing, something that is very minor, and the person just opens up a can of worms, and you are imagining your action is not equivalent to the person's reaction? What is happening? The person is exhibiting mental stress, which he has bottled up over a period of time. So it might not be necessary, it may necessarily not be you that is making the person explode like that. It might be accumulated stress. So except you learn how to manage this stress, you will not be able to help your child manage his or her own stress. That is just the fact. So what do you do to manage your stress? What do you do to manage your stress? The first thing is you must identify that you are under stress. Most times we trivialize stress. We will say, I know I'm under stress, but don't worry, I will overcome. I made a post sometime, and the post was actually to help people check their stress level. And I saw a lot of people saying that, I've checked and my stress level is very high. Don't worry, it will come down. After all, the Nigerian system automatically puts you in a stressful mood, or the word system, if because there's war all over the place. So ordinarily these people have accepted the fact that they are under stress, but they have not accepted the fact that they can manage that stress. So they have come to accept the fact, and they have come to live with the stress. The worst thing that can happen to you is for you to live with your stress, for you to say, let me just continue managing this stress and just continue staying with it. You know what I mean? It's just like cohabiting with your abuser. So this stress is abusing you, but let me just keep doing it. When you get to that point, that means you are actually headed in the wrong direction. So identify that you have stress, seek for solution. In an attempt to seek for solution, I will prefer some here, but there are others that you will need professional advice. Well, if the stress has become chronic and it's actually hampering your social life, your activities, everything happening around you is being hampered because of this stress, that is why you should know that you need professional help. Okay, so what do you do actually when you are experiencing stress? The first thing you need to do is check the impact on the mind, control what goes around in your mind. The body is a slave of the mind. It means that the mind can control the body. So what it means is that I can control what goes into my mind. For instance, if somebody offended me, and I feel I should be happy, I should be angry with the person, I can decide to let go and just tell the person, okay, don't worry, it's nothing. Don't worry, I've forgiven you. By just taking that simple step of saying, don't worry, I've forgiven you, you have released a heavy load of stress, a heavy load of stress on your mind. It takes so much energy to be angry with someone. It takes so much energy to be bitter and looking for a way to revenge. It takes so much energy. So it means that if you are able to let go of that energy, you have released a huge amount of the things that would have caused you stress, and your life will come back to normal. The second thing you need to do is you need to do physical activities. A lot of adults don't do physical activities. They don't exercise. They don't do work stuffs like that can help them release a hormone which is called serotonin that can help you manage your stress level. They don't do all that. So they just live a sedentary life from house to the office, from office to church, from church back to the house, just like that. They don't go out, they don't socialize, they don't do anything. Their life is just like that. So if you're living that kind of life, it is most likely that you're going to experience stress. So you need to socialize, you need to go out. The more you meet people, the more your stress level drops. The more you interact with people, the more your stress level drops. Of course, the people I'm talking about are people that are reasonable, people that rub off their joy on you. You know that stress is contagious. So it means that if I'm a happy going person and I decide to actually meet someone who is under severe stress, if I'm not careful, he can transfer the stress to me. So stress is actually contagious. So you need to be careful of people that are around you. You need to pay attention. Now, um, while mentioning other types of stress management, I will mention it when I'm talking about that of children. So you can also apply, because the stress management strategies you are going to use for your child, you can also use it for yourself. Very, very important. Very, very important. So let's move on. It is absolutely important for you to learn how to manage the stress in your child so that your child can grow up and be able to manage things. Your child can grow up and be responsible. Be responsible. I'm not saying the child is not going to make mistakes. Of course, the child is going to make mistakes, but the child will be responsible. So let's go straight to stress in children. Stress in children refers to the physical and emotional responses that occur when a child experiences a demand or a threat that exceeds their ability to cope. So, what this means in essence is that the kind of pressure that the child is experiencing is beyond their capacity. And sometimes we think that we use ourselves as adults to judge our child, or our children, in the sense that if a child makes a mistake that you as a parent make on a regular basis. Let me give you a typical mistake. A child breaks a pot or a glass cup or whatever it is in the kitchen, which is also a mistake that you make on a regular basis. You descend on the child, you beat the child to stupor. So the pressure, the stress you are putting on that child is beyond the child's capacity to cope. Because of that, the child will become withdrawn. The child will be so scared of making mistakes. That is why we have a lot of children that are afraid of venturing into the future. They don't want to move into or take bold steps because they are afraid that they might make mistakes. So, what are you raising? You're raising children who are so scared of life because that is, you instilled in them that fear. So, once a child experiences stress, it has some impact on their body. Some of the impacts are a series of psychological changes, which everybody knows as fight or flight response. So you see that the child want to fight you. Of course, the child cannot fight you, but you see that in his behavior. Maybe he'll just murmur or just behave one kind and just angrily go to one place and go and sit down. The child is actually fighting you. You know the way children are. Children actually um, respond to you in their mind. They might not respond to you physically because you will definitely descend on them or beat them. So they respond to you in their mind. So if you say a child should kneel down, it is possible that the child is standing in his mind, but he's kneeling down physically because of that response. So a series of response takes place, and sometimes if this child is not prepared or has not learned the strategies for managing stress, that child will begin to experience some physical symptoms that can even lead to some diseases. Most of the children that are always coming down with typhoid, malaria, fever. In fact, sometimes the fever might be insidious, unknown cause. And you are wondering, how come this child is always having fever? When you go to the hospital, sometimes they do malaria tests, they do check for typhoid or a full blood count, and the child is perfectly fine. Everything is okay, but the child is running fever. Most likely that child is being abused by the parents. Because when a child is under stress, because the immune response or the immune system is rather immature, the child's response, immune response to the stress becomes low. So the immune system of the child drops drastically. Because of the drop in the child's immune system, the child develop all kinds of sickness. And common among them is fever. So once the body becomes hot, it means that the child is experiencing. Of course, there are other causes of fever, other causes, of course, many of them. But I'm just narrating this in response to stress. Let's move forward. So what are some of the signs you will see in a child to tell you that the child is experiencing stress? There are some things you see in a child, and it will to tell you that this child is experiencing stress. I want to mention some of them. Chief among them is fear. Fear, very, very important. When your child is under stress, fear is the first thing that the child experiences. Fear is the first thing that the child experiences. Why does the child experience fear? Because most children are scared of abuse, trauma that you're going to give to them. So most times they are so scared and they want to withdraw into their shell. So if you see a child that is being abused, the first thing you notice is fear. The child is basically afraid of everybody because of the kind of emotional and physical abuse that the child has been subjected to. So let me give you some of the categories. Apart from fear, let me give you some of the categories. So the first category is physical symptoms. Physical symptoms are some things like headache, stomach ache, fatigue, changes in appetite, and even sleeping pattern. The child has refused to sleep, he doesn't sleep, or the child doesn't eat as he used to eat. You know, there are some children that used to eat very well. In fact, they are consumers, but after some time, they just stop eating. Check very well. The child might be experiencing stress somewhere. It might not be in the house, but it might be in their school or anywhere else. So the second group of symptoms or signs are the emotional signs. The emotional signs examples are irritability. The child becomes so irritable and always angry, becomes moody, anxious, and tearful. Any little mistake, the child is already crying. So that child does not have capacity to go through stuff without breaking down emotionally. In this particular case, the child has a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness because the child knows, the child can sense that the parents cannot help him or her. So they are totally helpless about the situation and they are always sad. Another group is the behavioral sign. In the behavioral sign, you notice some behavioral changes. And I want to say this. Anytime a child is doing something that the parents might not be happy about, you will notice that the behavior changes. Anytime a child is being sexually harassed by a relative, an uncle, or a parent, or even a parent, the first thing you will notice is a change in behavior. A change in behavior. It's either the child becomes withdrawn from people, and I'm talking because I've handled cases like that while in Nigeria. I've handled a lot of cases where the child becomes withdrawn and the parents are wondering. In fact, there was a particular case that the mother asked me to come and speak to the daughter because the daughter was totally withdrawn. And when I started talking to her, I discovered that there was a singular event that happened that somebody almost sexually harassed her, and it was a relative. And she was so angry that the mom didn't notice this. Because of that, she became withdrawn, always on herself. So she can be in her room for hours without speaking to anyone. So I was able to speak to her. I was able to encourage her. Before, gradually she started coming out. As I'm talking to you now, she's a graduate. She's a lawyer. She has gone to law school. She has served, and she's doing her master's now. Just within a period of a few years, her whole life has changed. So you must watch out for some of these signs. If you cannot identify the signs of stress in your child, you have missed it. You have missed it. I always know when my son is not happy. I always know. Or maybe something happened in school. The way he greets me changes. Some of us don't pay attention to these things. So you just think, well, it's not your own that is my problem now. I have things to do. I have my own issues. Don't bring your own and put on my own. That is a very wrong approach. So watch out for changes like being withdrawn or displaying an aggressive or impulsive behavior. All of a sudden, the child just decide to spark or just shows a level of anger that has never happened before. Watch out, something is wrong. Or the child becomes so quiet. Watch out, something is wrong. The next group of signs is what is called regression. In regression, the child experiences stress and decide to become withdrawn. Decide to withdraw to himself. So in regression, you can see things like physical signs like bedwetting, thumb sucking, tantrums. So the child is gradually getting withdrawn, and because of that, the body system is not taking it the way it should, and you see some children bedwetting. Most of the children that bedwet is because of the amount of stress they are going through every day. That is part of the reason, though, although not wholly that, but that could be part of the reason. So if you're able to identify that, you might be able to get them out of it. Then you see things like social withdrawal. So all these signs, you will see that there's withdrawal in it. There's withdrawal in it. That is a primary way you can tell if a child is undergoing stress. A sense of withdrawal. The child moves on and just stays on his or her own. So you find out that you know that this child is actually experiencing stress. So now we're going straight to the how to manage it. It is very important for us to learn how to manage stress as children. I actually wrote a course, although before the end of the training, I'm going to say one or two things about it. But I actually wrote a course. The reason why I wrote this course is actually because I discovered that, okay, let me turn the position of this. I think the sound is, sorry about this. Just give me a minute. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know what's happening in UK. The sun is becoming like Nigerian sun. so so let's move on. Let's move on. Very important. Let's move on. As I was saying, you actually need to learn how to manage some of this stress. And I discovered that parents hardly know how to manage their stress. So in the course that I actually did, the course is directly at children, teaching them how to manage stress. So it's like stress management strategies for children, how to manage bullying, how to manage issues, fear of the dark. A lot of children are scared of the dark. there are some children that if you tell them to go to the next room, if it is dark, they can never go. That is fear, and that fear can actually trigger stress. So you can help the child or encourage the child to come out of that kind of stress through some certain strategies which I mentioned in those training. And the good thing about the training is that it's in video form, and it's more like cartoon like, so the child will be so much interested in watching it. Of course, my son was the will I say the editor, because I was like, if he will enjoy it, other children in his age will also enjoy it. And he was one that was telling me, okay, daddy, this is good, this is okay, this can go, this cannot go. That is it for you. So you feel that children don't know much. They don't know. Children of nowadays are so wise that you'll be wondering where they got their wisdom from. You may be hiding some things from them, but they know. They are just playing along with you. Just let me just use that word, fooling you, thinking you don't know, but they know these things. So let's go down to strategies on how to help your child manage stress. The first thing you need to do is to encourage open communication. There are a lot of parents that their children are scared of them. Their children are scared of them. There are a lot of parents that their children cannot look at them face to face, eyeball to eyeball, and talk to them. When their children is talking to them, they will be looking downwards this way. So, because of so much abuse, so much things that you have done to them, I said this last Saturday in one training, a similar training like this, and I said that as a child, let's liken a child to a seed. If you plant a seed on the ground, what helps the seed to grow? I want to mention three things. Choose one, and I want to see it in the comments. Is it lightning? Is it thunder? Or is it showers or rain? I want to see your response in the comments. Is it thunder, lightning, or rain? What helps your seed to grow? I'm waiting. So what exactly helps your seed to grow? Is it thunder? Is it lightning? What exactly? So once I get a response, then we'll continue. Yeah, rain. Nkiru says rain. Yeah. Carol, rain. Rain. That's it. Rain. So let me give you this analogy. Rain is spoken words. Thunder is shouting. Lightning is extreme madness. Let me put it that way. So your child is the seed God gave to you to manage, and you are using thunder, lightning. You can't converse with your child. You can't sit down with your child one-on-one and speak to your child as if you're speaking to another human being. You talk down on the child. You shout on the child. So the child is trying to explain to you what happened in the school. So and so teacher did this or did that. You shout on the child. You rain thunder and lightning on the child. So how will the child grow? Imagine that there's a seed that you planted, and all that is happening around that seed is thunder and lightning. The seed can never grow. That is why a lot of children are just growing physically. Mentally, they are babies. They are still at the seed level mentally. So you see a big boy, a teenager, but mentally, the way he thinks, the way he reasons, the way he handles issues, is still a seed, is still a child of 2 years. Because all you are feeding the child is thunder, lightning. But do you know you can actually communicate with your child and come down to their level? Don't reason with your child at your own level. Reason with your child at their level. Think of what they need. Ask them questions. Even if their answers are foolish, it doesn't matter. So during some of the trainings that we did here in UK, I did a training on health and safety, and they said even if the decision, health and safety comes with privacy, dignity, and all that. So they said even if the decision of the person you are working with is not wise, he has the right to his own decision. He has the right to his own opinion. The opinion might be foolish. It doesn't matter. He still has the right. So your child's opinion might be very foolish. He has a right to his opinion. You need to listen to him. When you listen to him, hear him out, then you get to a level where you can now move him up to your level. Have you noticed that there are some children that reason as adults? And one was trained with rain, with words. As you are speaking words, you are speaking rain over them. The other one was trained with thunder and lightning. So because of thunder and lightning, that seed refused to grow. So though physically is an adult, but mentally is a child. If you understand this, you will never hit or beat any child. You will never hit or beat any child. You will seek to understand them. You will communicate with them. Very, very important. If you don't communicate with your child, another person will communicate with your child. Don't judge them. Provide empathy and support. Let them know that you understand what they are going through. It is very important for you to let your child know that you understand what they are going through. I understand. I was a child too. I understand all the stress of school. When I was doing promo for the course that I did on children, somebody said, does a child experience stress? I was just laughing because things like exam, things like lecture, going to school is stress for the child. You see some children, they are so scared of going to school. They are so scared of exam. Don't you remember when you wanted to write your JAMB? I remember when I wanted to write JAMB, I have never been that scared in my life. I wrote my JAMB in Lagos. The day I wrote the JAMB, in fact, the night before the day I went for my JAMB, I didn't sleep. I kept waking up because I was so apprehensive. That was a defining moment in my life. If I fail it, no university education for me. So I was so stressed. The stress persisted until the results came out. Imagine, and you feel that these young ones, they are not experiencing stress. It is with the adults now we sabi wetin stress be. It is a lie. It is a lie. So you must empathize with them. You must support them as much as you can. I want you to also teach your children relaxation techniques. Teach them breathing exercises. Tell them to count 1 to 20 anytime they are angry. This thing works like magic. It works like magic. Tell your child to count 1 to 20 anytime he's angry. So anytime somebody offends your child, and children get angry for all manner of things that are doesn't even make sense. So tell the child to close his eyes and count 1 to 20. By the time you finish counting 1 to 20, the anger must have subsided. If the anger is still there, you should extend it to 50. So those are the things that you should teach your child. Teach your child breathing exercise, that when you are angry and you see your child Fumi reporting the younger one to you, this is so Olufumi, look at what John did to me. Look at what Michael did to me. Out. When you do that for the child like 10 times, then tell the child to report. You will see that atmosphere changes. The child that was panting, that could not even talk because he's losing his breath, will calm down and begin to narrate what happened. Of stress to the state of peace. And that is basically what stress management is, to move you from the state of stress, restlessness, to the state of peace. So it means that if the whole world is crumbling and I can protect my peace, I will not be stressed out. Very, very important. So teach your child relaxation technique. A few ones, you don't need to go in details. Then make sure your child engages in physical activities. Tell your child to engage in physical activities. It could be mental activities, it could be physical, it could be games. Don't allow your child to be so addicted to the screen that it doesn't have any life outside the screen. So you see some children, they go for parties. Instead of socializing, you because you don't want them to disturb you, just give them your phone to play with. And the child is there, instead of socializing, he's playing with his phone. At the end of the day, the child is totally lost, cannot engage, cannot initiate a common discussion. And those are the people you see on social media that are always dragging people, looking for who to drag. Today they almost dragged me, and I evaded it. I know some of my mentors that usually enjoy dragging, because the more you drag them, the more followers come to them, and the more the algorithm favors them, and the thing actually works. So these people that are dragged, they are the people that we are not well trained on how to socialize, how to initiate conversation, how to speak to another person. The fact that you disagree with someone, or you don't toe the person's line, no matter how stupid the person's line is, the fact that you don't toe it doesn't mean you should talk down on the person, or call the person all manner of names. It doesn't work that way. So another point is, ensure your children are having healthy lifestyle. A healthy lifestyle is being practiced in sense of diet, in sense of sleeping, screen time, and all round everything happening around them. You need to put these things in control. You need to make sure that their lifestyles are healthy. Very, 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 very important. Make sure their lifestyles are healthy. Okay, there are some children that they've been trained to eat junk food. You see them taking noodles, all manner of snacks. So the child can barely eat wholesome fruits and vegetables. There are children that don't taste fruit and vegetables. Once you give them any fruit or any vegetable, they will throw it away, because that is the parents have not been able to train them to be able to take it. You know, when you initiate it initially, the child will be repulsive about it. But after some time, they will start accepting it. Of course, that is the process of training. You must train your child to recognize healthy food. Train your child to recognize junk food. There are some children, they are basically round. They are basically round because of obesity. So you see a child that is just 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, 10 years, depending, and the body is 40 years. So a 10-year-old child is carrying the body of a 40-year-old man. And you are telling me that that child is healthy. The tummy is so big, everywhere is big. How won't that child come down with diabetes? How won't that child come down with different diseases, even stroke, heart conditions, when the child's body is already matured? So the child is having sicknesses that adults experience. because of bad diet. I don't have a lot of time to share the issues about these bad diets, but I'm sure that if you follow me, I'm always talking about it on Facebook. We'll definitely talk about it one of these days. You definitely see it on my page though. So help them manage their time. That's another point. Help them manage their time. So it means that your children must be prompt. Don't allow them to go late to school, because when your child develops bad time management, it affects them in adulthood. So make sure they wake up very early in the morning, they go to school, they keep to time. Help them prioritize, help them to select the things that are important. For instance, if your child has homework, the child shouldn't be seen playing around. Play can wait until homework is done. When he's done with homework, then he can reward them with a time of play. Very, very important. So help them manage time, help them prioritize, help them stay organized. Organize their life for them. How do you organize their life for them if your life is not even organized? Do you know that there was a research that was done, and it was said that children who are raised in an environment, let's say houses that are not organized, grow up to become aggressive, grow up to become criminals. So you can actually go, it was a research that was done, than children that grow up in very dirty environment. When I mean dirty environment, the area is a ghetto. The house, when you enter into the house, the stench and the odor that come from the house, you're asking yourself, is this a house or a zoo? So when children grow up from that environment, it will take the special grace of God for them to actually grow up to become healthy adults, because the environment is already aggressive and stressful. So if your environment is not okay, you need to make your house, at least your immediate environment, okay. I've seen some people that are living in ghetto, but if you enter their houses, it's as neat and clean as anything else, and they don't joke with debt, despite the fact that they are living in a suburb because of their financial capabilities. But inside their house is very clean. So if as a woman your house is always upside down, your children will also be upside down. It's analogy, scientifically proven. Finally, you need to seek professional help if you notice that the stress of your child is now taking you people to the hospital. You need to seek professional help. If you notice that the stress of your child is now changing his behavior and it's no longer behaving the way he should. You know, in this part of our world, counseling and consultation is not usually our our fault. A lot of people say, my can't go hospital. They will give an injection. Everything is not injection. Everything is not tablet. There are some principles, some information, let me put it that way, your children need to have at a tender age, because it is that information that they will grow up with. I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that you need to help your child manage stress. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. When you were talking, I was just learning things and I was even writing down. Thank you so much. If guys, this is if you
You
have
are
any
welcome.
questions, please ask now, because Dr. Emmanuel just have very, very few minutes with us. I've learned so many things. I know that children go through stress. Yeah, there are sometimes my daughter comes to me and tell me, "Mommy, I'm tired," and I agree. Yes, you're tired. You need to
Yeah,
rest.
yeah,
Or like what we usually know. If you
yeah.
say you're tired as a child, the first thing you're going to hear is,
What did you
"What have
do?
you done? You. How can you be tired? What have you done?" So children, so
Yeah,
children get stressed too. There are so many things you talked about: the aggressive behavior, the impulsiveness, being so withdrawn, being so quiet. At a point, I got even emotional. Self, I don't even know why. Thank you so much. Okay, someone is asking, what's your social
You're
media
welcome.
handle? What's your social media handle?
Okay, so my name Emmanuel Akpe. That's just it. You can add the stress manager to it so that it will take you straight to my profile. That's my
Okay,
Facebook now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's Emmanuel Akpe, the stress manager. Because there are a lot of Emmanuel Akpes on social media. So yeah, so
Yeah. As there's a question
so you
here,
can actually follow me.
does this breathing exercise work for parents when their children get them angry?
Yeah, very well. Because you need to be in a very stable state emotionally to be able to pass across a discipline. If you want to discipline your child or you want to give your child an information or your child annoyed you so much, if you are responding at in that angry state, you are basically passing no information. You are passing no lesson. You are teaching the child nothing. You understand? But if you are calm and you speak with the child, there's a difference between shouting and communicating. You can shout down an information on the child, but you have not communicated. So for you to be able to communicate, you need to get your anger to at least a minimal level so you can pass that information to your child.
You know, there was something you said. You mentioned something about the that analogy you gave, the rain, the thunder, and the lightning. That is it for
Yeah,
me. That is the highlight
yeah,
for me. And one important thing I got from that is how you communicate to your child is really important. One thing I know that works for my daughter is
yeah,
sometimes when she's getting really frustrated and I see it in her face, I don't talk to her like standing up. I squat to come down
yeah,
to her level.
yeah,
I come
yeah.
eye to eye,
Mm-hmm.
to her level to
Yeah,
communicate with her,
yeah,
even if we're outside or in the house, to communicate to her. I find it that as in she's more expressive, she's more able to listen or hear me, or more open to conversation than when I'm just standing and I'm just talking down at her, what's wrong with you? That kind of thing. So
yeah,
it's really, really
yeah.
insightful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
really, yeah, thank you. You want to tell us about the course before we bring on the next speaker?
Yeah, so the course is available on Seller. It's stress management strategy for children. But I will want you to actually send us a message. If you go to our website, www.tsmwellness.com, once you open the website, you will see a WhatsApp logo on it. So click on it and send a message that you want to purchase the course for children, stress management for children, and we'll send you the link. Yes, tsmwellness.com. So once you go to this website, you will see a WhatsApp icon. Click on it. You send a message directly to us that you want to purchase it. So we send you the link and you get it. So for members of this community, the cost is 10,000. But for members of this community, I'm going to give you 50% discount if you key into it between now and Monday. You get 50% discount.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Wow, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
No
And for the
problem.
person that wants to
Yeah,
contact him, or for those that want to contact him, still go through the website. You go straight to the WhatsApp. You don't even need to go through email. Yeah, just go
yes,
straight to the
yeah,
WhatsApp and write to him.
yeah,
That's even better. Thank you
yeah.
so much. We really appreciate you, Dr. Emmanuel. You see why we keep
You're welcome.
we keep
You're
bringing
welcome.
him back.